Welcome to Documentary First, an inside look at a first-time filmmaker's journey. I am your host, Josh Lindsay from the Movie Proposal Podcast, and with me is our first-time filmmaker, Christian Taylor.
Hey, Josh Lindsay.
Hello. And with us, as always, is our trusty dusty research extraordinaire, button-pushing guy, Jason Rugg.
Hey there.
And if you listened to our last podcast, you were introduced to Flavie and Thomas from Normandy, France. Bonjour.
Hello. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour à tous. I just learned something new.
Bonjour, and you?
And is that what you said?
Like hello
no,
and
I
you?
said hello everyone.
Ah, bonjour à tous is hello, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at that. Thank you for our French lesson of the day.
I only took 4 years of France. I only took 4 years of French. Never visited France.
You've never been to France?
No.
You have
Oh,
to.
you have to come.
Oh, I know. Trust me, we want to go, but
Well, now
we had kids instead of going to France, and now
Now I've introduced you to some of the best tour guides in Normandy. We can hook you up with places to stay and give you discounts
Fantastique.
and all of those
Fantastique.
things. You know, speaking of which, I took French too in high school. Actually, junior high. Did you hear the story about my French experience?
No.
All I really learned was fermez la bouche, Christian, fermez la bouche, because that's what she said to me all the time, which is shut your mouth, Christian. Little did she know I'd talk for a living. But she then taught us the Lord's Prayer
in French.
in French. And to this day, it's about the only thing I remember. And I remember the whole thing.
Wow.
And so the first time I'm in France, I'm sitting like at this church doing a military thing, I thought, but they invited us to go into church.
Oh.
And so I went with Jacob, and they sat us right in the front of the church, right behind. As I sat down, I'm looking at Easy Company veterans in front of me. They hand me the program, and I hear him begin to lead everyone in Notre Père qui est aux cieux, ton nom soit sanctifié, ton règne vienne, ta volonté soit faite sur la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain quotidien. And I started crying. I couldn't believe I remembered it.
Wow.
It was one of those moments where I felt like I was prepared to be there
Okay.
for that moment. It was pretty cool. Anyway, another story for another time.
Well, we would like to hear more from Flavie and Thomas about their experience in the United States and just the work that they're doing from their perspective, because you guys are working on the Rights Bible.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. So we've been helping Christian in Normandy before because we are reenactors. So we wear
Yes,
40s clothes.
Tell me how you got involved in this project to begin with.
Yes. So first of all, I was a friend of Flo Boucherie, who was a friend of Christian Taylor. And one evening we had a beer in St. Mary's Church Square, and she told me, to me and to Margot Persson, that she had a project to do a movie about her mother with Christian Taylor. And she asked us if we would like to be part of it, so we said yes. And then we met Christian Taylor the first time in 2017 for our first interview in 40s clothes, and that was the beginning.
When did you get roped in? I've never even heard that story, Flavia. I'm so glad you told me that. What about you? How did you hear about it?
About the horror meeting together. So that was in L'Atelier in 40 ans. And we met you, and we did an interview about her, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it was because he was my boyfriend, so
Yeah.
I asked him if he wanted to be part
Yeah.
of it.
And so she shows up in this beautiful blue dress, perfectly coiffed, bright red lipstick, and Thomas comes in as a 101st Airborne soldier. He's even got the Mae West around his neck, which at that point I don't even think I knew what it was. Why don't you tell us what a Mae West is?
the Mae West is the life preserve jacket.
Life preserver jacket, yeah.
Used by the paratroopers on D-Day, but after, and used also by the US Air Force, by the pilot of the US Air Force, when the paratroopers was dropped on the swamps or something like that.
Yeah.
So it could be useful.
Yeah.
And
And the Mae West is a famous actress, and the life preserve jacket used some I don't know exactly the process, but
So basically what happened is what he's gesturing is that the life preservers fills with air and enlarges your chest area, which is exactly why they call it a Mae West. And what's amazing is that I love your commitment, Thomas, because you wanted to feel what the 101st paratroopers really went through. So what did you do in order to really become
a paratrooper,
Yeah.
a real reenactor. So it was in 2017. 2017.
Yes.
2017. I passed my wings, so I became a paratrooper. I jumped fifth time from a airplane to become a paratrooper, and after on June 2017, I jumped from a C-47 aircraft for the first time, just in 40 ans, so like in 1944. So that was a very incredible experience for me. I have learned a lot about me, about the scare, about everything, and that was a really good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Thank you
your
very much.
passion and your commitment. It's pretty cool, huh?
So how many times total have you jumped now?
6 times.
6 times?
6 times. The last time was in 2017.
Okay.
So I jumped with the RCPT association. This association.
That's round canopy.
Round canopy parachuting team. Yeah, exactly. And this association is based in France and also in Florida, in United States.
Okay. Do you plan to continue jumping?
Yeah. That's I cannot jump this year because the training is the first week of April, and I will be in States.
Okay.
So maybe the next year.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So we had our first meeting in L'Atelier, which is the workshop in French, and it's owned by Jean-Marie and Sylvie Caillat in Carentan. And it's a place that looks like a 40s shop. It's very cool. You should go there if you're in Normandy. And I was so smitten by them, and they, I think, liked the project and were willing to be part of the reenactors for the film. So they got together their friends and tell us what you guys, where would we see you in our film?
You could see us at the commemoration of 40 ans on the Purple Heart Lane. We have 40s clothes and we have a bicycle, so it's really at the beginning of the documentary. And you could see us as well in different reenactment scenes, as the one in Sainte-Marie-du-Mont with the little Danny with the candies.
And I am the reenactor. I give the candy to Danny on the.
You are the lieutenant.
The lieutenant, yeah, exactly. In the main street of Sainte-Marie-du-Mont. So I given the candy to Danny.
Well, and actually, you're sprinkled all throughout our film. In every reenactment scene, you guys are in all of those scenes.
And also
Yes.
you are in the States with Flo Plana.
Yep,
In
in
the
some
camper?
pictures, and I was in the bombings at some part, but
Oh, that's right. You were. I forgot about that. Yeah. And
but I
you-
was hiding. So
Yeah, and you were with Flo in his camper when he was
Yes.
traveling around. Tell real quick, how did you get involved in all of this, 40s craziness? Tell me how you first got involved in all of it and why you do what you do.
It's because we are from Normandy, so we used to live with the stories of our grandparents. They used to tell us about the occupation time, the liberation, the bombings, and everything. And during the Sundays afternoon, when you go with your parents to hang out outside, usually you go to Utah Beach, to the American Cemetery, everything, and you wonder what is this locals, why there are so many graves there, why this World War II veterans has a lot of medals on his jacket, and that's how we get involved in the 40s history.
What about you, Thomas?
And so we are from Normandy, so that's, I think, for us, we are young. I'm 24. So
Flavie's a little older, I hear.
yeah.
28 and a half.
So, and for us, we are from Normandy, so that's why we have discovered the history of D-Day when we was very young. I was 10 years old when I have discovered the American Cemetery with my parents, and I think that's important for us. And we have the mission to pass on the story of D-Day and to preserve also the story of D-Day, to thanks all the veterans their fight for the French liberation. So
I asked you one time why you dress up, why you reenact every year. What did you tell me?
Yeah, we dress up for different reasons. The most important reason is to make the World War II veterans remember their time when they were young, when they come in Normandy. And as well, from our part, I really like the trend of the 40s. I think it's really glamorous and beautiful. So I wanted to do that. And I remember when I was 10 years old or 11, I was in Sainte-Mère-Église, and I remember seeing some woman dressing in 40s clothes, and I just thought, oh, I want to do that when I'll be older.
What about you?
And for the military uniform, you have a lot of museum to explain the uniform, the American uniform in Normandy. But I think for young people, it's better to discover the uniform, to discover the World War II stuff, the helmet, everything, the Mae West also. It's better to discover in real, when you have the uniform, when you can see the uniform, and when some people can explain why this helmet, why this jacket, why do you have a big pockets on your jacket, why do you have a big pockets, the cargo pockets on your pants, and it's like a real museum, not a real, but
a living museum.
A living museum.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reenactment is very, very important for to pass up the story of
it brings history to life. Yeah, your bodies just fill out the uniforms. And, what's so interesting to me is I look at my footage, you guys don't look any different than American young men. And so I don't look at the men in my film and think, yeah, they look like Frenchmen pretending to be American GIs. You realize when you have the uniform on, there's really no difference between the French young man and the American young man. You look the same. And I have so much respect for what you do. These young people, they spend their disposable money and their disposable time to give to this cause of creating this environment for people that are coming to learn, and for the veterans, to make them feel at home. And it just blows me away. I know also that you guys have had special experiences with veterans too, right? And I've learned that when that happens, it really makes you, it really affects you, right? Didn't you each have a specific veteran?
Yeah, I remember the first, maybe one of the first World War II veterans I met. I was in Sainte-Mère-Église again for 6th Sergeant festivities, and I was with my father, and I was, shy, and I had the hand of my father in my hand, and we saw a World War II veteran in a wheelchair, and he told me, go and say thank you to the World War II veteran. And so I went there, and I was 10 years old, and I shook his hand, and I said thank you very much. And I think that the first time that really, in my head, in my mind, it's complicated.
It was impactful.
Yes, that's it. Yep.
And so the first veterans I have met, also the first American veterans, World War II veterans I have met, that was in the main street of Sainte-Mère-Église also. His name was Ray Farry. He was on the 82nd Airborne Division. And maybe, I don't remember exactly, but 2 days or 3 days before I went to the, I was in school, and my English teacher helped me to prepare some English sentence to talk with the World War II veterans. So during the week with my English teacher, we prepared some English sentence, and during the weekend, during the 6th June commemoration in Sainte-Mère-Église, I had some sentence to talk with the World War II veterans, and for example, to ask to referee, can I take a picture with you? And say, yes, sir, you can.
What are some other questions you said?
I don't remember exactly, but I say, what is your name? So I remember that, and that was referee. And he asked also my name, and I say, I'm Thomas, and I have at that time a uniform, a military uniform, a reenactment uniform, a paratrooper uniform. So
and you were how old?
I'm sorry?
You were how old?
10 or 11, something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's so fascinating.
11 years old, yeah.
My dad took me to the projects in Mississippi, which is a place where poor people live because it's cheap. And one day we were campaigning for my dad, and we knocked on the door, and this old man came up in a wheelchair, and he was missing a leg. And I was, I think, about 7. And I said, you know, after we shut the door, I was so shocked. I'd never seen anyone without a leg before. And I said, Daddy, where was his leg? And he said, young lady, that man gave his leg for your freedom. And you should always make sure to thank a veteran every time you see them. And in your stories and in my stories, I realize how important our parents are in helping us think about our freedom and how we treat veterans. So if there are any parents listening to this podcast, I do hope and encourage that you will do the same thing that our parents did. Introduce us to veterans and explain the sacrifices that they made for our freedom. So, yeah.
All right. Well, how about next time? You mentioned film festivals a couple podcasts ago, right? And we want to hear more about that. But thank you for Flavie and Thomas for being here and being in the film.
Thank you very much.
It's very cool. Well, anyway, thanks for listening to Documentary First, where we believe everyone has a story to tell, and you can be the one to tell it.
Bye, everybody.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Documentary First. We really appreciate your partnership with us. We can't do any of this without you, so thank you so much for listening, for donating, and for following along on our journey. If you are able to make a donation this week, we really would appreciate it. We are supported by donors who give us $100 or less, so anything helps. Also, if you're able to share the news about the girl who wore freedom with your friends and family, please do that on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and sign up for our newsletter at normandystories.com. Please go to normandystories.com/donate to make a donation today.